All right, in this weekend report, I'm going to take a look at silver and the miners and the volatile action that we've seen this week and really for the last few months since last summer. I'll take a look at stocks, specifically the breakout that I expected in the Nasdaq and what I'm looking to see now, and one other section of the market that if you're not paying attention to, you definitely should. So starting off with silver, obviously we had this big gap down where previously I said just get out of the way. This has just continued to just be a very difficult period of trading, whereas sometimes when you get these big moves down, you can get a strong move back up. This is kind of what I expected to see, and if you visit my website, relativestrengthpro.com, I did post that on Wednesday and Thursday I did re-enter silver positions, and I was stopped out again when it hit this zone of resistance, this cluster that I've been looking for it to really make some progress on. This could still, just continue up and down. It could continue higher. This just has been a very, very difficult period. Looking at the weekly chart, you can see the same thing, and we're still stuck below some of these previous highs from these periods of highs over time. But so what I'm looking to see now is a more decisive move. For the time being, I'm still in a partial small position on this. I do have some exposure into silver specifically, not in miners, but just looking to see some kind of resolution. But I don't really have a lot of confidence that it's going to happen. I think, I'm hopeful, as many other people were after the rally last summer, that would continue, but this has really just been a long stretch, and the miners really show that. So I apologize this is so busy, but it really shows the time between the tops and the bottoms and how volatile this period has been. So this is GDX, and since the beginning of this correction in August, between each bottom and each top that goes above a 20-day moving average to the next bottom, this is just the time between it. So 12 days, 25 days, 17 days. You can just see between them, it's just, constant chop up and down. And even more so within this, if you take a smaller time frame, you can see even within some of these periods, there's some heavy ups and downs that just, constantly just fake traders out of holding onto a position or being able to buy in at the right time. I thought this week that we'd be getting, higher highs, higher lows in GDX as well, which has been weaker, and we've still seen that. But with this action on Friday, we don't know how much longer it'll be before we get this next, move up or move down. In contrast, if you look back to the spring and the summer, this is obviously coming off the very deep correction in March, but much longer periods between some of these times where we go above and back below the 20-day moving average. Then it was 2 months between some of these, and we went on two very long cycles. It was difficult to hold during that period, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now in stock market positions, where the longer a rally goes, the more difficult it is to hold because people expect something negative to happen. So both are difficult in their own different ways. So in metals right now, we're getting this constant chop where you have to just take quick profits. You don't know when that's going to end and it's going to actually turn into a trending move. And on the other side, we have stocks where the trend just continues. In the Russell 2000, for example, traders are afraid to hold on to it because they expect action like this. So, no matter what, it's not necessarily an easy environment. My trading style is to try to catch these big moves. So yes, during these periods, I try to stay out as much as possible until I see signs that something may be changing, and I, kind of see it now. But at the same time, right now, there's nothing happening that's action like this that brought me back in where I thought it might be moving up. There's nothing right now that makes me think that this is just going to take off like a rocket. I think what's more likely is we find some kind of a base here and keep going sideways for a while. And I can't say that's going to be right, but that's kind of what I think right now, is that it's just going to be difficult trading for some time. I hope I'm wrong, but I will still try to get in from time to time on metals. But the trading is much easier in the stock market. So I've noted multiple times before that I've been waiting for this cycle to break out on the Nasdaq. This is what happened this past week. We got a very, very strong breakout following what we saw in the Russell. And now that's holding, and we've made a higher close each day. I don't expect that to keep happening. I wouldn't be surprised to see a down day that threatens and kind of maybe even goes into this gap to make traders afraid, but then another gap up will likely follow. So for the time being, I'm risking the profits that I have from some of these positions on this breakout where it was retested. If it were to go back down and start crashing, that's the risk I'm willing to take. But it would have to be quite a move now of 500 points on the Nasdaq for me to lose some of those positions. And it's being led by semiconductors. So this has been a little bit choppy on a daily basis. We have big up days, big down days. But then if you look at the weekly, it's much clearer that this was the breakout point that I was watching, and it's just been a straight ride if you only look at the weekly. Now, obviously, on a daily basis, it can be a little bit more difficult, but the breakout here is clear from that December high. And then just one more note on the Nasdaq. So some of the breakout stocks that are happening are the big tech breakout stocks. So they've been constrained for quite a while, but Google had a very strong breakout above its December high. Trying to think, there's some, let's see, Apple. This is its previous close. It did threaten and did close above that, but went right back down below it to start this year. Now it's back up and making new all-time highs again. I think these two stocks, along with Microsoft, I know Netflix had a very big move this week. We're seeing some of the much bigger, well-known tech companies, not just the small tech, not just the small cap stocks, making some of these big moves. And I think that can really drive a lot of pressure higher overall in the entire market. We may not see some of the same names like Tesla, EVs, NEO, things like that. Other small areas like hydrogen. This may be the phase of this market bubble where the big tech takes over, really makes the Nasdaq go crazy, gets headlines, gets everybody bullish, and gets everybody into the market before we see a very large correction, probably later this year. And just one other note, I'm not going to take credit for calling this one, but if you're not watching SPAX, I've mentioned them a few times within my blog. They're just a good opportunity to get into very early moves in the market for some very speculative areas. So if you're ignoring SPACs because you see all this negative news saying, oh, there's SPACs around Queen's Gambit and they have all these crazy names, and you're just writing them off, just do some due diligence, look into them. I'm not going to recommend any specific ones. I certainly don't recommend buying this one here, although it could, just keep going. Do some due diligence on some SPACs that haven't made deals yet. There are some good deals out there for regular investors to get involved very early, at pre-IPO sort of levels. On a side note of that, I wouldn't recommend holding them once there is a move like this, right? If you get a single day move that this SPAC had, this is CCIV. If you get a single day move like this, I would probably sell on that day. 25% move in one day. You don't know what's going to happen next. It could continue, but have a plan to get out once you do get some kind of a move like this. They also could go in the opposite direction, right? There is no there's no sure thing that this is going to just every SPAC is going to have a positive merger. You look into the management teams, look into what they're potentially investing in, know what you think will drive a big move in the market, and just don't ignore this area completely. This is, one of the areas of the bubble like Bitcoin or electric vehicles where, you can really make some very, very big gains in a short amount of time.